Hello and welcome back to Down the Track. I think first time since 2 years for Don. For me, since like 10 years, celebrating a trophy. Our team won something. For him, yeah, WC Cup. United have not won anything. India have not won anything. But I think the last time it was Prithvi Shaw and the boys winning in 2018. But and then they lost in 2020. But India seemed to do this every alternate World Cup. They win the World Cup. Convincing performance. It was a close game in the end. But overall, if you look at it, India was the team to beat, unbeaten in this World Cup, and they've beaten a strong England side. They won the final by 4 wickets. Bro, how are you doing and how are you feeling?
I mean, I'm extremely excited for this young group of players. I think some very fantastic names over there, and I think richly deserved after all they've been through. To be very honest, you think about the selection issues that they had only a few months back, the change in coaching personnel with VVS Lakshman coming in and stuff like that. It's not easy when you have a new coaching. But I think credit to VVS and his team. I think they did a fantastic job with these youngsters. The COVID outbreak, that could have very easily and to lose your captain, vice captain in the middle of the tournament like that could really easily derail your performance. But I think the fact that they stuck on, did not lose a single game, went out and won convincingly with the way they did. Of course, there were a few tremors of struggle in this run chase, but that's expected at some points. But I think just overall, I think a fantastic tournament and something that that this Indian team can be proud of.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Coach Kanetkar hit what's his first team. I'm sorry,
Hanitkar, yeah, Hanitkar,
Kanetkar, Ritesh Kanetkar.
yeah.
But yeah, he, we saw him like even when they needed like 8, 9 runs needed, he told the boys just be calm a bit, come back. They were all on the boundary line. You could see that he had a mature head on him, and he had control over them for sure. And I think it was a great performance. It was a great performance in the final, but throughout the tournament, they really impressed. I'm just adding another guy. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
Congratulations, Abrar. This is Vinay. Vinay is Abrar live broadcast. Vinay,
Hello,
someone who's
sir. How are you?
Hello, sir.
he's followed the whole World Cup. He's been watching as well. But yeah, great performance, Vinay. How are you feeling, man?
It was a wonderful performance, man. It was nerves in between when those two wickets fell off,
Yeah,
especially Dool and Rashid, because kind of like the rest of the batters didn't have too much of a chance like to come in these kind of situations previously, because these guys took it away at the start itself. So kudos to them, like the way Nishant put up his hand to actually play that innings and that special partnership between him and Baba just
yeah.
changed the game and took it away completely from them.
Yeah, and bro, I just wanna ask you. You've also mentioned this to me. This Indian under 19 team has what the seniors don't. They have a middle order that bats, and they have some all rounders. Um, so, like, what do you see the next step? Like, do you see them like even on the international level performing like this as well? And how do you maintain this? Because this is what India needs. They need a middle order who can actually soak the pressure. You saw in the I don't want to compare, but I am comparing under 2019 World Cup semi-final. India lost 2 early wickets. It was Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul, if I'm not mistaken, and Virat Kohli. And they sunk. But over here in the semi-finals and finals, they lost early wickets. It was Rashid and Dhul who put a partnership on. So, yeah, take it
I,
away.
I think it's a little difficult to compare the senior team with the junior team at this point in time, because I think in the junior side of things they've consistently been doing well, but you see only two or three players really make it in the top level. From 2000 also, if you go back, only a Yuvraj Singh and a Mohammad Kaif made it. In 2008, a Jaddu and a Virat. So many other players. They kind of unfortunately are not able to make that transition. Even in 2018, if you look at the recent. Team. I think only a Shubman Gill has made his way into the Indian team as a more of a permanent stay. So it's a little difficult, but I think that this crew looks like a fantastic crew. I think I really want to see improvement in the transition now. I would love to see, because when they did lose 4 wickets, when like when I mentioned, I think the fact that they had someone like a Sindhu come in, and I think they can bat up till 9, and they have about 8 bowlers who can bowl. That's very, very important. Dinesh Bana comes in at 8, hits 2 sixes, and wins you the game. Even Vicky Otswal after him is a handy batsman. Hungrekar is a handy batsman. So it's very nice to see that. I want to see if they can transition into it. Some really exciting talent, but really important to see if they can transition. I think the problem will again be the challenge of the preferred positions and stuff like that. Someone like a Nishant Sindhu, if he can continue to do that, and how he'll improve his game and elevate it to the next level, because you won't see 200 runs as a thing. You'll have to hit 340, 350 also to win games. So how they can kind of soak that get that strike rate going up, improve that is what I think the next step will be. And who can do that successfully will definitely make it to this Indian side.
Yeah, and when did the yeah.
Sorry, go ahead with your question, Musi, first.
I was going to say the bowlers set it up the win, like restricting England under 200 despite losing the toss. It was a good wicket to bat on. The pitch was nice and flat. I think there was a bit of moisture. They utilized that to the maximum in the first hour, and then after that, you could see that the the sun was baking. It baked the pitch a bit, and run scoring became a bit more freer and easier. So, how much credit do you give Raj Bawa? Like his first over of this tournament was horrendous, terrible, but he's really, really picked up after that, and one of the players of the tournament for me. And yeah, even what's his name, Ravi Kumar, excellent bowling, left-hander. That's another thing that India is missing, a left-handed fast bowler. So, your thoughts on the bowling performance?
To be honest, like if you see this Indian team, right, like even the bench players, they came into the fray when all the other people got COVID positive when they were out of the team and stuff. So, like even the bench strength contributed. So it was an overall impactful tournament for the entire team. It wasn't just one person just putting his hand up every single time. When you see like you compare it against the Indian senior team, like it's kind of that's the place where people are more looking towards like certain individuals always performing, and if they not performing, you're kind of losing hope. In this team, the main difference is that that's where the difference comes in. Like you can wait till the end and still hope for it that these people can actually take you forward. So that's what is important, and that's what the overall team aspect is very crucial in terms of picking those players and having the proper ones who can back each other up at any given stage. And that was what worked for India. If you see on the longer run in terms of the tournament, they were, I think, the only team who were unbeaten till the finals. Right? Everyone else had one or two losses here and there, group stages or something or the other. But this team, actually, even with like people like we lost for COVID for a couple of weeks, the bench strength also put their hand up and came in and performed. Right, so it was an entire team composition that was much better, and that's why they were able to lift the cup, in my opinion at least.
Yep. Ashish is announcing IPL auction coming up. Snap Bawa and Bana for Punjab. Let's go, Don. Don, I would request you to ask Ashish to come on. He was going to come on, but he's upset that Raj Bawa didn't get man of the series. Vinay is upset that Vele Lage, Sri Lanka's captain, didn't get man of the series. You're happy that because I would request you. He was supposed to come on the stream, so I would request you to ask him to come on because he listened to you. He won't listen to me.
Ashish, please come on. I don't know why you would listen to me, but please come on. If me saying anything helps, please come on.
But yeah, I was about that IPL transition. So, I mean, it's a question to both of you. Don, you can take it first. That's the thing, right? We've seen it from the Virat Kohli time. He was snapped up in the auction. He had a failure of a season. We saw Prithvi Shaw. What's the struggle that he's had? There's other names. The first season, it takes time. Even the likes of Shubman Gill, Shiva Mavi, Nagarkoti, they haven't reached that level, and it's been 4 years since they've won the World Cup. So the transition takes time, but probably snapping some of these guys for squad is important because they do rub shoulders. But how important is it to not, like, it's so hard, man. If you're in that situation, you're 18, 19, you're getting all the plaudits, then you go to an IPL team. IPL comes with a lot of fun, jazz, parties, cars, everything, right? So how difficult is it? Like, is the IPL the perfect transition, or because it's a two-edged sword? Your thoughts?
I think the IPL is the most imperfect transition, to be very honest. I think it's just a very different ball game. This is a very disciplined batch being maintained by someone like a VVS or Rahul Dravid in the past, and suddenly you go into and you see the limelight of a Hardik Pandya doing his stunts and stuff like that. With due respect, these guys have earned that respect over the years of making a lot of money. They are doing it in a different style. So I think the IPL becomes different and that difficult, and I think that's why the transition takes a little bit longer. Not a single player in the under 19 has really, taken the IPL by storm in his first season. Even till today, I think the likes of the names you mentioned, the Gill, Mavi, Nagarkoti, they haven't become a mainstay in any of the teams. Even the fact that they'll still get big bids is because of the fact that they're Indians, and that's the beauty of the IPL. It gives the Indians chance. But I think the likes of Shaw, for that matter, even though he's retained, Gill has been retained, but I think these guys are not. They haven't taken the IPL by storm like a Virat did in like 2016 or a Warner has done. These guys are the big players, and to get to that level is going to be very, very hard. With that being said, I think you need 25 players in each squad. Approximately, that's the number of players that they go with. And almost all these 15, 16 players will all make bids, in my opinion, because they've all showcased it. And the IPL is it's very funny because, you do this 1 week before the auction. It's like in your mind. A Raj
Hmm.
Bawa Pfeiffer is going to be in your mind when that name comes up in a week's time. It's going to be in your mind because it's so fresh. Tomorrow in Ishan Kishan, he's going to open the batting. He's already a big name. If he goes and scores a century tomorrow, his name is going to be etched in your memory because it's so fresh. And these things can play funny mind games with you. And that's why I think a lot of these players will get bid bigs. I think, but they have to be patient with themselves. They have to trust their ability and just hope that it works out for them in the longer term.
Yep. Also, Ashish is saying even Abdul Samad, please mention SRH boys as well. I don't think Abdul Samad played in the under 19 World Cup. I
He
don't
didn't.
think
He didn't.
He
Not.
didn't.
I think Samad and
he's
Umran
fast track.
Malik are.
That's the thing, right? So, from the under 19 in the IPL, you have some guys who are killing it. But I would say Venkatesh Iyer. He wasn't in the under 19 either. So, this different. It's kind of weird to see, someone like a. What's maybe a Prithvi Shaw or it takes them time, but a Venkatesh Iyer comes first season and smashes it. So it's kind
Also,
of strange.
Venkatesh Iyer is 26, 27. That gives you a little bit more maturity
I
in that
guess
versus a 19, 20-year-old.
these guys
So that
still are
helps a
not
little bit.
that age. Yeah, and Vinay, I have a question for you. Why is there such a difference between, on the under 19 level, India is way ahead, miles ahead. They always reach the finals. Yes, they have the odd blip where they lose in the final, but I think in the last 6, 7 World Cups, they've reached the final. They're dominant, right? Like they have the odd bad day and they lose, but they're so dominant. But we don't see that same dominance at the international level, even though that the same infrastructure is there. There's more money invested. You have something like the IPL as well. Is IPL become a distraction and has it caused something like fatigue, or what is it? Because the under 19 they seem to have no problem in reaching finals every tournament.
It's I would not disagree with that statement in terms of India winning a lot of World Cups and not transitioning properly in terms of going international cricket when they're actually playing at the senior level. The thing is, this world, like the under 19 stage, they're raw talent, right? The grooming aspect from this talent to actually going into a senior level is much needed, and much better infrastructure is required for that. And just putting straight them into an IPL and just expecting them to always perform, you're looking at international bowlers. Like no one's bowling under 90 level, no one's bowling you at like 145, 150 and stuff, right? As an example, right? Like the fast bowlers and everything, and the kind
No,
of lengths and everything.
that's an excellent point. Like I completely agree from the transition. That is the thing. But my question is, why is India more dominant in this level and not in the international? Like I'm talking about our current crop, like the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. Why aren't these guys winning trophies? Like
Because at the under 19 level, if you see the Indian infrastructure, especially like you have a lot of school tournaments and a lot of transition period where they're putting up so many tournaments where they're actually getting the chance to groom themselves, as well as a lot of one-on-one aspects are put in through the NCA and the other tournaments that they're putting. Because of that, it's a lot of grooming that happens at this level. After this, it's more expected of them to perform each and every time without that proper training and grooming that is specifically done at this level. That's what I feel is missing at this point. And one, like someone like Raj Baba, if you actually see in the Indian current team, we don't have that kind of a pace all rounder, right?
Arey, your
Of
favorite
course,
player is there, Hardik Pandya. They
of
have
course,
Rahul
like
Thakur.
that's what I'm coming to. Like, of course, we have like Hardik Pandya and like Venkatesh Iyer and everything. Hardik Pandya got injured, and now people are already looking at different players and stuff, right? Like they're trying to put in Sardar Thakur, they're trying to put in Venkatesh Iyer, like all these people. So if that, if he's groomed properly, he can become a good player. Like I'm not saying like immediately bring him in, but someone like a something like a fast tracking of that process where that one-on-one aspect as well as more grooming is there, that will actually help that player to come into the senior team and perform to their potential.
I think just to add to that, a small point to add to that, I think that a lot of there's not too many eyes on this under 19 until they come to the World Cup. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes, so they're kind of ready. And of course, when the under 19 World Cup comes, they feel more prepared. And then when they come into the big stage or the senior Indian team, is just an insane amount of cricket 12 months. people get injured, they get tired. You're playing a West Indies tournament here. You know that in the end of March, there's likely that IPL starts. Why is the need to put that one test match in the middle and bring in a Sri Lanka? Just let the players rest. You're going to you're playing a T20 series, or you're playing a ODI series. Give them a month's time. Let them relax, recoup, and get ready for the IPL. You're going to put in 1,000 test match, and you're going to make it a day-night test match in Bangalore. This, that nonsense you're going to do. They're going to get tired. The Indian team gets tired, and one of the biggest criticism is
That's
that
what
they're
it is.
fatigued. I
Yeah,
think
that's
to add to that, that's the biggest problem.
I think that is the thing, because if you look at it, Vinay mentioned the infrastructure. I agree with that. I think the infrastructure of India is way better, and that's why I expect them to win tournaments. I think I was talking about this earlier as well. That someone like in Afghanistan doesn't have this kind of infrastructure that India has, and India needs to maximize it. You saw it today. There's a big difference between India and other teams at this level. But then there's certain distractions or fatigue or overworked things. I think it's a combination of everything which really kind of causes a problem, because India are consistent don't get me wrong, they are consistent. They reached the semis, they've reached finals as well, but they just don't get over the line. Whereas in the under 19 level, I've seen consistently, apart from a few games, they're very confident whether they're chasing. Mind you, this was an excellent pitch to bat on first. This was an excellent pitch to bat on first, and I think the last 3 tournaments that they've won, if I'm not mistaken, under 19 level, they've chased under pressure. So starting with that Unmuktand 100. So I think it's something that you're right. It's a combination of everything. But yeah, Vinay, I'm going to ask you 2 same different questions. Same question or about different players. First of all, Vinay, I will ask you about the Sri Lankan captain, Welilage. You thought he deserved the man of this series, but just your speech on him and his performance during the World Cup.
It was a breakthrough performance for him. Like entire tournament, he was single-handedly actually helping out Sri Lanka itself. If you see his and Brevis at the same point, right? He was single-handedly taking it for South Africa. It's just like in terms of weightage of runs and wickets, like that's why personally, like I was contemplating between Brevis and Welilage, to be honest. Like it wasn't like clear-cut shot, but the amount of runs Brevis scored, of course, he deserves it as well. Right,
Yeah,
and he
I think
definitely deserved it.
he was captain, so he had added responsibility. So I think it's a remarkable effort with the ball.
And he's batting like 6 down, 7 down, and scoring 100 and stuff, right? So that's a big achievement on his part itself, coming at that time. And mind you, like the entire team was always on the back foot. Like they didn't score much on the top order, and it was the pressure that he was taking in, and he was scoring, and plus taking 17 wickets. Like the next best was I think 15 or something, and that was like pure bowlers who were bowling. This guy's like batting and giving the through the ball, so that's why I would have given to him. But no like hard feelings in terms of Brevis taking it, because he had a wonderful tournament. It was always him putting his hand up, like 200s, 290s, like it was just a insane tournament for him.
Yeah, Don Brevis, your thoughts on him? I mean, we've been talking him up since the ball won. Since our India match, we've been talking him up, and he's really lived up to the expectations. Unfortunately, his team couldn't, but again, he scored 100 yesterday, was it 2 days ago? He's been batting brilliantly this tournament.
I mean, just when in the first game that he played and when he hit that 6-over extra cover, I was just like, my God, this player is amazing. Like ICC put like this video of him, just that 5-second video of him, and it was just like, my God, this guy's amazing. And then from there, he just took off, and you like when I mentioned 2 centuries, 290s, he can give you a little bit with the ball as well, so that helps. And I think he's a fantastic batsman. And I already think that RCB is lining up a bit for him. I think that's going to happen, because he's definitely that
he's
kind
a
of
replacement.
He's a replacement for the ABD almost, and he also has mentioned himself that he's ABD and Virat fan. So these emotions come into play when the IPL comes through. I just wish them well. I just hope that all the talk that we've done and the talk that the whole world is doing, I just hope that they can live up to it and really become those fantastic players. Velelage is also, I think, a very, very, very good player. A lot of these Indian guys also, there's a lot of talent available. Some Afghanistan spinners that I don't think we should trust only Rashid Khan. Some other guys are coming through the ranks now. There's opportunity available, and I really hope that some of these guys can really make it to the senior team and become mainstay of the senior team as well. Someone like a Virat has done, or a Jaddu has done, in the past. I just hope that this talent that we've seen is nurtured well and is taken into the next level, and I hope that they can become important parts of their senior teams as well.
One thing I just want to add one point, like India has always dominated like the under 19 level, right? When you see across the years. But once they go back to the Ranji Trophy setup and stuff, that's that's where they're not showing their maturity, right? It they kind of shine in this limelight and put it on their shoulders like, oh, I won the World Cup and everything. Like that's where they need to kind of calm themselves down and focus on improving their game rather than
But
yes,
what do
they
you
won
suggest
this.
for them to calm down? How what techniques do you
Sorry,
suggest?
I
Yoga?
didn't get that.
Like, what do you suggest for them to be like calm and not get distracted and stuff?
It's just work on their game. Like cricket is always a learning game, right? You can't say that you've learned everything. Even Sachin Tendulkar at this level, he'll be like, "Oh no, I still haven't learned everything in the game," right? So
Hmm.
that's what that keeping your mind and focus on the game itself. That's very important, and that's what will take you to the next level.
I think a role that is missing in world football right now, or world cricket, world football, or
Yeah,
world sports
come on,
right now.
Arsenal. We have two Arsenal fans live right now. Vinny Madhu is two Arsenal fan, man.
So that's why I understand our thinking aligns a lot. I can see that.
Yeah, but he's thinking
I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Oh, he's not. Arey.
he is.
I'm a Burnley fan.
No,
This
no,
guy
no.
tried to
Hey,
pull my leg by saying I'm an Arsenal fan.
yes, God.
So, so on live television, just because I wore the Arsenal jersey, I was
Yeah.
wearing it for like practices and stuff. Someone gave me, and I was wearing it. Musti thought, and he just bantered everywhere and put it on loudspeaker and stuff that I'm only an Arsenal fan and I don't support anything, but I do support Man U.
Musti, before telling Musti anything, you have to think twice. Otherwise, it gets published a lot.
Exactly, like it gets published everywhere.
No,
But
It's just breaking news everywhere I see.
yeah.
I was just saying that in world sports we've seen a lot of youngsters that have raw talent, fantastic abilities, and they just kind of taper off and into the world. When they come into the senior level, I think they just a lot of people can't handle that. I think a role that can be made for a lot of people, especially the guys who have the money and stuff like that, for example, the BCCI, is to have a mentor to be able to help them through that stage. I think if they can get someone like that to just specifically be an important player for the under 19 to the World Cup to the senior team transition, it will be very useful. With due respect, I don't want to bring up a very dirty incident that has happened. Mason Greenwood, he's a fantastic player, but unfortunately the fact that he doesn't have any mentorship or anything like that, I don't think that most people don't go to those lengths. But it would be very helpful if you have someone you can go and talk to when you're struggling, and when it gets to your head, certain things get to your head, and if a mentor is seeing that, he goes to the player and tries to calm him down and stuff like that. I think something like that, it's a very broad-ended, very difficult role to, I think, fill, but something on those lines, maybe have a small team to do that. If you have the money, I think that would really help.
Punter Singh, do you think because of IPL these youngsters try to focus more on T20 format due to which tests and ODIs are
100%. 100%.
Yeah, because if you look at someone like KL Rahul, take him for an example, right? He was a proper test batsman when he first came into the scene. I remember he was in the Sunrisers. We went and saw him as well. I don't know if Don, you saw him. I saw him in 2014. He was playing like even in the nets, very defensive, very good technique. But the IPL screwed with him, and that affected his test match. And then he came back. He became more mature and he's improved his test batting. Same thing with Prithvi Shaw. I think Prithvi Shaw is one of the most talented batsmen when I saw him at the under 19 level. Even then, I think Shubman Gill outscored him, but Prithvi Shaw is very talented. But I think that IPL T20 does kind of affect your technique in that way and your mindset more than anything. Patience.
I agree. Unfortunately, I agree.
Winners like every 2-3 दिन में खत्म हो जाते, right? Like even in South Africa, even in India, they finish very quickly. So a lot of people lacking patience.
If you like, while I was watching these, those key moments and short moments and stuff that come in between, if you see the technique that Dhawan had while he was playing his under 19 versus what he has right now, there's a big difference if you actually notice in his technique itself. Like
and that's why,
yeah.
That's why the bat and pad के बीच में gap आ गया है Dhawan का, and that's why Test cricket में a little bit problem because of that, unfortunately.
Yeah. After Hardik and Rahul's coffee with Karan, there were talks of getting a mentor. Don't know if that was implemented. I don't know if it was implemented, but Rahul for sure has improved. Hardik Pandya has gone down after. I think he was better off before coffee with Karan.
There was a mentor. There was a mentor. Dhoni came in as a mentor, no?
Dhoni came in as a mentor, but yeah, I don't know.
Timing of it. I think Dhoni is a
personally,
very good candidate for a long-term mentor for the Indian team. I think a very good candidate.
when Dhoni was mentor in the T20 World Cup, what was the result?
If you get him 3 days before the World Cup and then you expect the miracles to happen, it's not going to happen. You need to give these players, these kind of players, time. You have to mention something about
in a society where Instagram 2 seconds everything comes up.
But that's Instagram. If you want instant results, you're never gonna get it in world cricket. I think, in my opinion,
those preparation camps and stuff that happen at the ground level, like under 19 and everything, that is what is lacking in the Indian senior team. They're not having enough time to actually build upon all these series.
Even the warm-up games and everything.
Exactly. Like they're not getting that enough time to actually put focus on the training aspect and getting better in terms of even a mentor coming in and actually doing that. And that's what is lacking, right?
If you notice the team, the difference between a Punjab and a CSK, if you notice that Punjab doesn't give anyone time. 2-3 game nahi khele, out. But CSK, you saw Rituraj had a terrible start to his CSK tournament, but they persisted with him. In the next season, they gave him, and then he came good because you see the talent, and then if you break a person's capability and his mindset, it's trust and in his own ability. If you drop him after 2-3 games, and then if you give someone like a Rituraj, he's like, okay, Dhoni's told him, irrespective of however you perform, I know you have talent, you're going to get a run. If you give him a run, automatically that confidence grows. That's the difference, and something like that needs to happen in the senior Indian team as well. It's happening, but it's very broken up. For certain people it happens, certain people it doesn't happen. That's the problem.
Ashish is saying that Rohit Sharma's first game as captain tomorrow, he's extremely excited. I don't know if he's excited to criticize or he's actually excited to see him captain. But yeah, sorry, Vinay, you were going to say something.
Like what Don mentioned in terms of an example, right? CSK versus Punjab. Like if you see the format of any T20 teams, when you go across the border, like whenever it comes to franchise model,
the border, you go Pakistan, PSL.
No, I'm talking about just franchise model. Franchise model, right? Like the franchise model actually dictates those kind of things where they are putting that pressure if someone isn't performing. In Chennai, the big difference between Chennai and other teams is that the franchise has trusted Dhoni in a way that you do take your decisions and we'll back you. Right? Yeah. That's something that is there, that is working for Chennai itself. Like they're backing their own people. And even when Dhoni was captain, like he was backing his talent, and that's why they were groomed better and they came up much better. Like Rohit Sharma, right? What was he doing when he was like 5th, 6th down? And then Dhoni backed them to being an opener, and see what that difference made, right? So those kind of backings is what is required, and that kind of mentorship, as well as the trust in your team and the players. That is what is important. That actually takes you to these next level, being the next level player, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying it also depends on the player as well, right? I mean, someone like a Vijay Shankar was backed for the World Cup, just for example, like maybe another captain wouldn't have chosen him. Virat Kohli saw something in him and he put his trust in him, and it just didn't work out that way. He dropped someone like Ambati Raidu, who was more experienced. I mean, in hindsight, I won't get into that argument, because in hindsight, Raidu could have come and also failed. And then you would say, why did you not try a youngster? So I won't get into that argument, because there were people who were saying that Rohit Sharma shouldn't have played the T20 World Cup this one. I think that's ridiculous. Even though he didn't perform in the big games, I still feel that Rohit Sharma is your opening batsman, especially in the last T20 World Cup. They
asked him in the press conference, so he's like, "Oh, do you want me and Dhawan to sit on the bench while Rituraj and Ishan open?"
Yeah,
so it's quite funny.
A very explosive start to the captaincy. That I didn't expect him to answer it like that, but yeah. But I think that wraps it up. Any last thoughts about the tournament? Both of you have been following it from ball one since it started. The takeaways. I think it was an exciting tournament. Despite in West Indies sometimes the pitches are slow, and we saw some stages where the games were a bit. It did get slow at stages, but for me, Afghanistan was the team to watch out for. I think they have a bright future. India, of course, were brilliant. We saw Brevis. But your last thoughts, Don, I'll go with you first.
I think credit to England as well. I thought they had a very good tournament. I thought overall.
I had one question about England. Yes. Sorry. I had to ask
you. At 98 for 4, I thought they lost the plot. They should have been a little bit more attacking at that time.
I'm sorry, we did not talk about England. We have to talk about Rue. Was it Rue?
Yeah.
Rowe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, outstanding performance under pressure, and then Boyden, the highest wicket taker, he was excellent throughout. Why isn't the man bowling 10 overs? I was asked this question on WhatsApp from a senior member and someone who is influential in cricket, but I didn't have an answer to it. To be honest with you, why wasn't he bowled? Even today, he wasn't bowled.
Why,
10 overs.
if influential people in the cricket are not able to answer, how will we know what is happening from the outside circle? Unfortunately, I don't know what the answer to it is, but I think he's a
Either
fantastic
he
player.
can't. Either he can't. He said that I cannot bowl more than 7 overs because in the last game it was the same thing. Either he said that I can't bowl more than 7 overs, or there's no other excuse because even against Afghanistan they got away with it. He didn't finish his quota, but he's the one who got them back in the game, and he bowled what, 8 overs? I think there's 1 or 2 overs that he didn't finish. So I think
Yeah, it's actually a very good point that now that you bring it up. But I really hope that there's a valid explanation, and I think someone in the England camp will be able to answer that. Uh, it's not something they should be allowed to get away with, especially if he's your highest wicket taker, if he's a fantastic bowler and he's a good bowler, especially at 98 for 4 when they really had to put the pressure. I think that they let it go get away. At that time, another wicket would have really changed the complexion of the game. But they allowed Nishant and Bawa to kind of settle in, and then Nishant went on to finish the game off for them. Uh, I hope they have an explanation to that. But I think England overall have been a very good team. I think the first game when they started off against Bangladesh, who were the champions at the time, to break them out for 97 all out and then finish that game off well. I think everyone who's played, I think England is in that format of go hard or go home kind of thing. And I think they changed that up a little bit in this game, and that's why they came short. But I think if they would have gone hard or gone home even in this game, it's easier said than done. In the finals of a tournament, you've never won it before and stuff like that. Things like that. Those pressure moments do come into the picture. But I think that there are a few players that we really can look out for in the national team as well, where their senior team is also somewhat in a bit of a spot of bother at this point.
Yeah, Vinay, anything to add?
Like for Boyden's point, right? Like what I personally think is that he's one of those bowlers who is good with the lens, like accurate with the lens, but he's not one of those bowlers who can bowl like like go for a Yorker or a fast short pitch bounce or something of that sort. So that's maybe one of the thinking I'm just contemplating at this point, just understanding what could have been the reason, but that could be one of the reasons. What I think is why they prefer other bowlers who are more attacking in that sense, because he's more genuine good length bowler. That's what I thought, because when he picks up those wickets, he's picking up mostly at the start, those wickets, and once he's kind of like the Bhuvaneshwar Kumar at the start, right? He'll give you those in swinging balls and everything at the start, but death overs, like earlier when Bhuvi used to play, like death overs, he won't come in and stuff, right? So something of that sort is what Borden looks to me in particular. So maybe that is the thinking why they're not going with him in the death overs. But of course, that they had an amazing tournament. Like Rian, the leg spinner, is a
Yeah.
perfect match for how Adil Rashid is at this point, right? So someone of that sort, like, and the catch, that was an under pressure, really good catch that he took today at backward point and stuff. So definitely there are some players who are good to look out for, and definitely like these players are getting noticed at this point, and they are going to come up in the future, and they are doing really well for themselves in that sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think for honestly, even I had that similar feeling that he can't bowl in the death overs, but against Afghanistan he bowled so well. So that's why I was just surprised. At least today,
That
I
was
think.
he was bowling the cutters that point, right?
Yeah,
So that was the only mix-up that I saw in him. He
yeah,
wasn't bowling those. He's not that quick or anything to bowl at the death, is what I felt, compared to some of the other bowlers that all are already there. Like just like when India played Australia last game, right? That last over from Whitney, why did they go for him instead of bowling Nisbet out, who was bowling really well? He still had one over left, and
yeah.
they gave it, and that kind of changed the game itself for them, right?
Good point. Yeah,
The
yeah.
last over, 20 runs that came in that over, that kind of changed their aspect itself. So those kind of things, yes, some you can blame it on the decisions and stuff by the captain and everything, but certain things like they're more, they're looking for more attacking options at the end, rather than going for defensive options, is what I feel.
Yep, for sure. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Don, do you want to talk quickly about the India West Indies game, or should we just leave that for another?
No. I mean, we can really quickly talk about it. No problem at all. I mean, this is a big test now for Rohit Sharma. First time as a full time Indian team captain. He's already had a relatively explosive start to his press conference. I just hope they can put aside the few of the question marks and really take this next kind of next chapter and make it a little bit more rosy. I think that there've been too many thorns in the build up to a lot of things. The Virat Kohli situation, the BCCI problem, new management, stuff like that. I just hope that they can be a little bit more calm after this little bit of a storm that has been going on for the Indian cricket. I think at this point in time, I think there's enough talent to keep the to kind of overpower the noise that has been made over these things. Yes, there are some issues that need to be questioned, but I think they should be questioned behind closed doors and cleaned out behind closed doors. A lot of this media leaking and all that is not healthy. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the for us who's sitting on the outside and just trying to make speculations and stuff like that. So I just hope that things can start to calm down and we can see the India of the old kind of come back and really dominate the series. I think it's a good chance against a relatively decent West Indies side, who's especially in the T20s, who can really cause a threat or two. So hopefully they can really come out there and win both the ODIs and the T20s, and look forward to the IPL from there.
Vinay, how much are you going to take from this series? Because Ravi Shastri said in an interview that 9, 10 and Jack are coming to India, and he was referring to West Indies, Afghanistan, and Sri Lanka. So, what are you going to take away? If they win, it's probably business as usual. If they lose, then Rohit Sharma's captaincy is already under fire. It's going to be under under scrutiny.
Trust me, right now, Rohit Sharma being a captain, he's coming in turmoil, right? If he wins, nothing is going to change. Nothing absolutely is going to change. If he loses, that's when the storm is going to hit, because it won't matter if he wins the series. He'll be like, oh, they played a lower team, so he won that series. Again, the same questions will come up. I'm not trying to support him or anything. It's just the same questions will come up. Oh, he only performs against weaker teams and doesn't perform against stronger teams. And like you mentioned, West Indies, Afghanistan, and Sri Lanka coming right now. It's going to be the same thing if he wins. But if he loses, everything is like he doesn't deserve captaincy. All those are going to also come up. So it's a tough time for Indian cricket, and that transition period is not right. That transition period, how it's actually happening at this point, is not right. And kudos to him for taking that responsibility, but it's a very unfortunate time for him to actually take it at this point.
Yep, 100%. Don, also just one thing before I take the comments, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, I think this is just my opinion. It's not fact, but in my opinion, that in India, in the subcontinent, age is a very big factor, right? Even in our own club, people say, "Oh, I'm too old now. I have to retire." But there in the comments, Punter also said, "Retired." But if you look at Australia, age is never talked about. Michael Hussey's peak when he was 37, right? All these guys, they played. Owen Morgan, he's 37 now. He captained England when he was 34, 35, and that's Rohit Sharma's age, and he took England to the World Cup, right? He made them in the World Cup, and then he was 36, 37 captaining now in the T20 World Cup. He took them to the semi-final. So is it just a subcontinent culture thing that age hogi, or is it just that these other guys are just mentally strong and they're physically more fit?
Fatigue. India plays cricket 12 months in a year. Australia and England and all have 2 months, 3 months to really recoup the energies, and they play cricket 9 months in a year.
But they do play quite a bit of cricket, right? These guys,
they do. They definitely do.
Cummins and these guys playing the IPL, and then they play their because they're in the big three. They do have international fixtures year round.
I still think that they get enough rest compared to Indians, but at the same time, yes, they are. The age comes into factor more with Indian cricket than it does with the. I think the amount of cricket that's being played now also has become difficult. Now you see at 36, Owen Morgan is breaking down. He's missing games and stuff like that. So it is a little harder. The amount of cricket that is being played is
it is, but it's not it's not really talked about as much in the media and stuff. Going into the World Cup, it wasn't even given a reason that Morgan's performance, his age, wasn't given too much of a reason. From the British media, they were just focused on his captaincy, and even he led KKR to the final, right? So he was fit enough for the IPL and for the thing. Okay, now maybe he's getting slightly injured, but what is he, 37? And one semi-final, one final, I would say that's not bad.
So
Absolutely,
I,
I think I
I would
agree.
actually disagree to Don's point to a certain aspect. Like, if you actually see the Indian BCCI setup, right? None of the players for BCCI are allowed to go and play outside leagues, right? When it
Yeah.
comes to like PSL or BBL or anything else, right? They're not allowed. If you see all the other international teams, they're actually allowed and they actually go and play. Someone like even Pat Cummins or Maxwell or anything, they actually go and play. Even Ian Morgan, for that matter, he comes and plays PSL. He
There's
comes
a
and plays
T10,
like
T10 league as well.
T10 league and everything. So I would disagree to that point that like they're playing too much cricket or anything, because comparatively, if you see, IPL is the only tournament apart from your international tours. You're comparatively playing lesser tournaments. You're not playing Ranji trophies all the time, right? Compared to other teams, you are playing lesser this thing. How you recuperating from your fatigue and how you need to break up that cycle, because like take all 25, right? Take your best 25 out of the nation, rotate them properly. That's not what is happening properly. And they're trying here and there, but that important aspect of giving each player rest where it's required and transitioning someone else in that role and trusting them in between in that time period and bringing them on again and again. That's the proper transition. That is what is missing from Indian cricket, is what I feel.
That's
Yeah.
actually a good point. I maybe I kind of didn't see it that way, but I think that's a good point. Maybe, yeah, like you said, just bring in a good set of players.
Oh, Don is gone, man. But yeah, I think just a counter to that, it's an excellent point. But I just think a counter to that, maybe the intensity level, the pressure that India goes into, like the number of eyes which are criticizing the Indian team compared to others. It could be something like that. But I think you made a really good point there. Punter's asking which foreign youngsters making it to the IPL. You will find that out next week in the auction, Punta. You will find that very soon. But
Bravis is one to watch out for, to be honest.
yeah, the only thing with Grievous I would say is because he's South African, he's going to count as a foreign player, so that quota, he might not go for as much. If he does go, he might not go for as much. But from the Indian players, of course, we saw, Yash Dul, because he's, captain. He got 100 in the semis. You have Sheikh Rashid, who's performed well. But then again, his strike rate and everything, it's going to be different in the IPL. He's more of a solid 50 over test match kind of player, I feel. And then you have Raj Bawa, you have all these guys. But there's two things that you already mentioned. One is that you're going to play at an international level. The speeds are going to be different, the pace is going to be different, the ball's going to come on differently onto the bat, and vice versa. And if you look at the other thing is that sorry, I lost my train of thought. Was the second thing I was going to say, but yeah, you can add to that.
Someone like Bana, Dinesh Bana, or even Hangrekar and stuff. These guys, I feel, are going to be the first ones to actually get picked up in terms of the under-19 from what we've seen. The reason is, IPL is very fast-paced and stuff, right? And like what they're expecting is more of a bowling all-rounder from this team rather than the batting ones, because batting, if you actually notice, like most of these players are not at that level in terms of like a fast-paced cricket is what I felt, like how they played at least in this
Yeah,
tournament.
that's exactly what I was just gonna say. It was not exactly, but you got me thinking again. This was a 50 over tournament, and then
Yes.
T20 is completely different. So the approach is going to be different. The level, of course, is going to be different. It's going to
Yeah.
be a completely different ball game. I think for the future, it's always good to invest. But you look at KKR; they had the money balls kind of tactic, if you would like to call it that. They got Shivam Mavi, they got Nagarkoti, they got Shubman Gill. All three of them have still not reached their peak. They still have not returned on that
Exactly.
investment. KKR put. And
Yeah.
it's not right. The auction, it's a new auction now, and you might not even retain them again. So they haven't gotten rewarded for that investment. It was a 4-year investment, and they didn't get that return. Maybe the next guy will get a return from Shubman Gill, but that will be 5-6 years later. So investing heavy on our under 19 player might not be the most ideal thing, but investing in them, of course, it will always help in the future.
And if you see the track record, like the money kind of plays on their mind. Like they get like the amount of eyes that get put in as soon as you come through all these setups and stuff, and then you win a World Cup or perform well in a World Cup and actually get selected. The amount of eyes that most of the players actually succumb to that pressure, and they
Yeah.
don't know how to actually elevate their game and soaking that pressure basically. So that's what they need to get better at. And they'll need to like not take it over their head and basically work on their game just like how they worked till now, right?
Yeah.
They need to put in the same efforts, and that's what will help them come up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Some really good points from Vinay and from Don. It was a pleasure. I think a great tournament. Just to sum up the under-19 tournament, India were dominant throughout. From the first game against South Africa to the last game against England, you had each player contributing. Whenever called upon, whether it was a Rashid and Dhul or whether it was a Raj Bawa, Ravi Kumar. Even we forgot to mention Vicky Oswald. He was probably the spinner of the
Yeah.
tournament. Excellent. He started with a fifer against South Africa and never looked back after that. So, in each match, there was someone else performing for India, and you have to give them credit. Overall, they were probably the best team. And Bana to finish it off in Dhoni style, what better way to finish off a World Cup than hitting with the six over long gone. It was an excellent finish, and congratulations to the whole team. And yeah, I think that wraps it up. Vin, anything else you want to add?
What was your moment of the tournament?
The moment of the tournament. It's a tough one, but I have a few. I think one is the Brevis. When I first saw him bat, and a couple of his hundreds outstanding. Second was the Afghanistan Sri Lanka game. I think that was probably the tournament of that was the moment of the tournament for me.
Mine was the same one, the 4-run victory.
The 4-run victory. I just couldn't believe that they defended 134.
Exactly.
So I think that was probably the moment. But then if you look at the finals, I think the power fifer, he was someone that I didn't expect him to, because he was poor in the first game. He did pick up wickets. He picked up 4 wickets against South Africa, but his line and length pace wasn't there, and he was bowling absolute snorters, in your words. Commentators' words, but excellent bowling. He was bowling those short deliveries, letting the batsman sniff the leather, as they say, right? So I think that was outstanding. I didn't expect that from him. Some really good pace. And he also has the highest score in the tournament. So I think that was a really good moment from him. And another really good moment, I think excellent moment, is the Indian captain and vice captain putting on a partnership like that. And hopefully, we see that in the senior team as well. But, the captain, vice captain really complementing each other and batting together as a unit. We've seen that.
I didn't know what you were alluding to, but
No, I'm not saying. I think, honestly, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, they've had amazing partnerships in the past. But I'm saying hopefully these two have this relationship when they make the Indian team as well. Hope they maintain this, because I think the relationship on and off the field is important. More on the field, I wouldn't say off the field. You don't have to be the best of the friends, but you saw the understanding between them. There was some run out chances which were missed, but apart from that, I think it was a great partnership. So that was another moment for Afghanistan, right? The Afghanistan Sri Lanka game.
Afghanistan one for me. The 4-run victory, that was just an amazing game.
Yeah, I think that it was a great chat. A lot of people joined us. Thank you for everyone leaving the comments, especially Puneet and Ashish. Special mention to you guys, always supporting us. It was great, and hopefully we get you guys on soon as well. Vinay, looking forward to the IPL auction and the India West Indies series. The PSL going on as well. Some great cricket there, so we'll get the latest from there. And thank you so much, and congratulations to you as an Indian fan.
Yeah, thanks, Maxi. Same to you. Cheers, man.